Hey guys, tonight we're taking a moonlit detour from the ordinary. Imagine this. You're lying in a patch of sun-warmed concrete, surrounded by the soft murmur of distant traffic, the faint tang of garbage, and the sweet perfume of blooming night jasmine. Your eyelids flutter open, and the world looks off. Bigger, louder, smeared with smell. Because guess what? You're not you anymore. You're a cat now. Yep. Whiskers, claws, tail, the whole fuzzy package. You probably won't survive this new life, but hey, at least you'll look adorable while failing. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Also, drop your location and the local time in the comments. I love seeing where everyone's drifting off from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You wake up in a puddle of sunlight. It's warm, buttery, and spread like melted gold across cracked concrete. Something's wrong. The world smells sharp. Every scent is an emotion. Rubber tires, anxious. Pigeon feathers, nervous. The garbage bin 10 feet away, overwhelmingly smug. You blink slowly. You're not in your bed. No mattress, no memory foam, no heated blanket or judgmental houseplants. Just this alley. Just this heat. Just pause. They're right there, where your hands used to be. Small, velvet, twitching. The pads are sensitive, picking up every texture. The smoothness of a bottle cap. The grit of sand. The sticky trail of a half-squashed jelly bean. You flex instinctively. The claws come out like switchblades. You have a moment. The tail, your tail, whips around, startled by your own surprise. A pigeon flutters down nearby, pecking at a crumb. You stare at it with an intensity that startles you. Your body wants to pounce. Your body doesn't care that 2 minutes ago you were probably a person with a 401k. Now you're a calorie-seeking missile with whiskers. And you're hungry. The pigeon, thankfully, flutters away before any decisions are made. You stand, 4 feet, surprisingly easy, and do that automatic cat stretch. Paws forward, butt in the air, back arching in a perfect yoga pose. It feels correct. You could get used to this. The alley is alive. A rat scurries between trash cans, and somewhere above, a mockingbird mimics a car alarm. You turn your ears instinctively toward the sound, and wow, they move independently. That's new, kind of like satellite dishes, but fluffier. You take your first real step forward, and immediately get spooked by your own shadow. Okay, this'll take some getting used to. A historical side note. In ancient Rome, cats weren't just mousers. They were sacred. The Roman army used them as mascots, and some historians believe officers kept them in armor pockets for luck. Your new feline form? Practically royalty. Still, as you slink past a mural of a neon tiger, it's hard not to feel like the runt of the urban jungle. The city pulses around you. Music thudding from a distant club, grease wafting from a falafel stand, and that ever-present hum of ambition and decay. You try to recall how this happened. Last night, you were in bed, right? Or maybe not. There was something about a weird antique mirror, a shimmer, a meow that didn't come from your mouth. Historians still argue whether dreams act as portals in folklore, but you're living proof something strange went down. You pass a broken window. In the reflection, you finally get a good look at yourself. Your fur is a patchy orange and white mosaic, one ear nicked like an old prizefighter, and your eyes, golden, slitted, way too expressive, seem to laugh back at you. If cats ever form a jazz band, you look like the moody bassist. The alley leads into a narrow courtyard, a garden of weeds, bottle caps, and a few scattered feathers. You pause, the silence thick. Then, a faint rustle. Another cat, jet black, eyes glowing like car headlights in the shade. It watches you, unmoving. A test. You drop your head slightly, neither threatening nor submissive. A kind of hello. The cat blinks once, turns, and disappears up a rusty fire escape like smoke. Guess that's the local welcome. You follow, less gracefully, your claws scraping lightly against the metal. Climbing comes easier than expected. Your muscles remember. Not your muscles, technically, but the ones you've borrowed. At the top, the city explodes into view. Rooftops stretch like puzzle pieces in every direction. Satellite dishes, bird nests, laundry lines swaying like prayer flags. Chimneys puff tired smoke into the lavender sky. The setting sun casts everything in amber and shadow. And there, on the opposite roof, silhouetted by twilight, is a small gathering. Cats, 10 of them, maybe more, arranged in a rough circle around an overturned crate. A ginger tabby gives a slow nod in your direction. You pad forward, one step at a time. The black cat from earlier is among them, watching. Your arrival is not unexpected. Apparently, your new life as a rooftop-dwelling feline diplomat has just begun. You don't get a formal invitation, just a subtle, synchronized parting of the circle, like a living ripple of fur and narrowed eyes. No one says, "Welcome to the crew." They just make space. And in cat society, that's basically a red carpet. You step in, trying to appear nonchalant. But walking with confidence on narrow shingles while controlling a tail you didn't ask for, not exactly second nature. The ginger tabby, broad-shouldered, scarred nose, missing a chunk of one ear, sits atop the crate like a mafia boss. He gives you a once-over. "New body, huh?" He purrs. Wait, did he just talk? No, not in words. Not exactly. It's more like a meaning transmitted directly to your instincts. Cat telepathy light. You understand him like you understand a melody you've never heard before, which is disturbing and kind of cool. You give a small nod. He squints. It'll come to you, or it won't. Either way, don't fall off the roof. With that, the meeting continues. They're not plotting world domination. Not tonight. Just swapping intel. Which alleys got the freshest fish guts, which dogs broke their leashes, which humans leave their windows open during rainstorms. You sit quietly, absorbing it all. Your ears rotate independently, catching every whisper of the wind. Your tail flicks to a rhythm you didn't realize you were keeping. After a while, the circle breaks apart. Pairs and trios leap between rooftops, tails high, vanishing into the city's patchwork sky. You're left with the black cat from earlier. She stretches, long, elegant, totally aware of how intimidating she is, and pads over. "You need to learn the body," she says. Not a suggestion, a mission. Lesson 1. The tail. It's not decorative. It's a mood ring attached to a whip. It balances you, warns others, betrays you when you're anxious, excited, or lying. You try to consciously control it, only for it to twitch indignantly like, "Excuse me, I don't work for you." The black cat, her name, you learn, is Echo, swats your tail when it lashes. Stop thinking about it. Think around it. You sigh, which comes out more like a squeaky wheeze. Dignity, 0. Lesson 2. The whiskers. These are not just fancy face hairs. They're information superhighways. They sense wind, distance, texture, even mood shifts in the air. Fun fringe tidbit. Ancient sailors used to bring ship cats with long whiskers to detect changes in weather. If the whiskers twitched erratically, storm's coming. Cats, the original meteorologists. Echo leads you through a series of tight spaces, between drain pipes, under fencing, through hanging laundry. You learn to trust the whiskers. When they brush against something, you back up. Simple, instant, effective, less bruising. Lesson 3. The claws. Forget retractable knives. These babies are multi-tools. Climbing hooks, defense daggers, grooming aids, the occasional back scratcher. You practice unsheathing them in bursts. Shing, shing, like flicking open a switchblade in slow motion. She challenges you to climb a brick wall. You leap, miss, fall, again, leap, scrabble, claws catch, tail wobbles. You hang there like a confused ornament. Echo yawns below. But on the 4th try, something clicks. Your muscles stop fighting themselves. Your tail adjusts automatically. Your claws find grip points before you think to look. You don't just climb, you flow. From below, Echo purrs faintly. Took you long enough. You perch on a high ledge, panting softly. The city stretches before you, glittering and chaotic. A strange thought hits you. I could live like this. You shake it off. You're still human, right? Maybe. Probably. Historians still argue whether identity is shaped more by body or memory. If you wear someone else's skin long enough, do you become them? Deep philosophical rabbit hole, best left for when you're not licking your own paw without irony. Echo slinks beside you. Come on, you've got legs now. Use them. You follow, and, for once, your tail doesn't betray your hesitation. It sways behind you like a quiet ribbon of certainty. You don't know where you're going, but for the first time, you're not entirely against getting there on Hana 4 paws. The city opens up when you stop thinking of it in human terms. Sidewalks aren't for walking. They're rivers of noise. Cars aren't just machines. They're unpredictable predators with glowing eyes and bad tempers. But rooftops are freedom. They stretch like secret highways across the skyline, a patchwork of old brick and air vents and sun-baked tar. No traffic, no leashes, just sky and wind and starlight. You pad silently after Echo, your paws soundless on the warm metal grates and rusted ladders. She moves like water, every muscle coordinated and knowing. You, well, You stumble over a skylight and almost tail flop into an open chimney. But you're learning. The rooftops aren't empty. They're alive. A lanky white cat sunbathes on a satellite dish. 2 kittens practice pouncing behind an air conditioning unit. A huge orange Tom lounges like a dictator on a pile of tarps. Everyone watches you, just enough to let you know you're still new, still under review. Echo leads you to a flat expanse of roof dotted with laundry lines and rusted lawn chairs. A small circle of cats is gathered around a pigeon carcass. "Don't worry," she mutters, noticing your wince. "It was already dumb when we found it." You settle beside her, careful not to sit too close. You're not sure of the social protocol here. Do cats do small talk? Is licking your paw considered rude? Are you supposed to bring your own dead bird? A lanky gray cat named Whisk starts telling a story about how he escaped a coyote last winter. You don't know how much is true, but it involves a skateboard ramp, 2 terrified kids, and a churro stand. Echo mutters, "He's lying again," but lets him finish. The others laugh in that chest-purring, slow eye-blinking way cats do when they're relaxed. For a moment, you almost forget you ever had a human life. Now, there's a bit of real-world history hidden in this rooftop realm. In 1911, the Earl's Court area of London had such a thriving population of feral cats that it was jokingly called the Roof Republic. Local newspapers reported stories of mysterious cat parliaments held at night. No one ever proved it. But standing here among this feline council, with their glares and gossip and low-pitched purring diplomacy, you're starting to believe it. After the story winds down, the circle breaks. A young tabby starts paw wrestling with another cat near a garden hose. Echo rises, ready to see the high ground. You follow her to a narrow plank wedged between 2 buildings. It looks like it's one dramatic sneeze away from collapse. "You first," she purrs, entirely serious. No pressure. You step carefully. Every paw placement matters. Your claws extend instinctively, gripping the wood. Wind presses at your fur from the side, and for a second, your tail lashes in panic. But then, it counterbalances you, automatically, like a tightrope walker's pole. You take another step, and another. Below you, the alley looks a lot more deadly from up here. You fall, you learn, Echo says casually from behind. Comforting. When you reach the other side, you realize your heart is pounding, and not from fear, from thrill. Your body is alive in a way it never was before. You can feel each muscle vibrating beneath your fur, the whisper of wind through your whiskers, the scent of distant rain carried from 6 blocks away. Echo lands beside you without a sound. The view here is even better. A full moon rises over the horizon, turning windows into silver squares and trees into ink blots. You can see across the whole neighborhood. Rooftops like stepping stones. Neon signs flickering like fireflies. The occasional stray dog barking at shadows. Echo sits beside you. Humans think they own the city, she says. But this is ours. There's no pride in her voice, just quiet certainty. You realize something then. Cats don't own the city. They navigate it. They survive it. They stitch it together in invisible threads of memory, motion, and scent. While humans chase noise, cats follow patterns. And now you're learning to do the same. Historians still argue whether animals have true maps in their minds, or if they just follow instinct. But watching Echo close her eyes and tilt her head to the breeze, you suspect there's a cartographer hidden behind every feline blink. She stands and flicks her tail. Come on, time to eat. You follow her down into the twilight, wondering how many other secret cat kingdoms stretch across the rooftops of the world, and just how far you'll go before morning. By now, your paws are sore, your whiskers twitch at every gust of wind, and your tail has become a full-time diplomat, negotiating every narrow ledge, every leap, and every social encounter with other cats. But there's one more rite of passage Echo insists on. Dinner, she says, leaping off a rain gutter with the kind of ease that should be illegal, and not the bowl kind. You follow her to the edge of the rooftops where city light spills out into a back alley behind a row of late-night restaurants. The smell hits you like a freight train. Fish, chicken, garlic, fry oil, and somewhere in the distance a hint of churros. You descend the fire escape like a seasoned pro, no missed steps this time, and land beside a dumpster so large it could double as a cat fortress. Echo crouches. Rule 1. Never go in head first. You want out, not embalmed. You blink, imagining the slow, tragic death of a cat stuck in yesterday's lasagna tray. Noted. As if summoned by the scent of opportunity, a raccoon waddles out from the shadows. He's huge, like small bear huge. He's also wearing a half-crushed Starbucks lid like a crown. He eyes you. You eye him back. Echo doesn't flinch. That's Gerald. Don't look him in the eye. He thinks it's a duel. You immediately look down at your paw like it suddenly became fascinating. Gerald snorts and waddles to his side of the trash kingdom. Dinner begins. You learn fast. Humans throw out everything: half a turkey leg, a quarter burrito, fried rice so spicy it makes your ears sweat. You're not proud, but you inhale something unidentifiable that tastes like it's been microwaved 3 times and aged under a heat lamp since the Ming Dynasty. Which reminds you, fun fact, during the Tang Dynasty, cats were prized for keeping tea storage areas rodent-free. Historians even found ancient Chinese scrolls depicting cats lounging beside sacks of tea. Practically employees with whiskers. Makes you wonder if they got dental. Back to the banquet. A pair of opossums join the buffet, followed by a nervous-looking skunk who gets a wide berth from everyone. Echo shares a slice of fish she stole from a sushi tray, dropping it beside you like a peace offering. You munch in silence, surrounded by the strangest dinner party of your life. Across the alley, a motion-activated light flicks on. A door creaks open, and a tired restaurant worker appears, holding a heavy trash bag. He stops when he sees you all. Cats, raccoons, possums, and one blinking skunk frozen mid-sniff. For a moment, the scene is weirdly cinematic. Then, with a resigned sigh, he gently sets the bag down and retreats back inside. No fuss, no broom waving. Echo hums. He's seen worse. After the feast, the group scatters. Gerald waddles off with a fishtail stuck in his cheek fur. The skunk disappears like a magician. You're full, warm, and slightly disgusted by yourself. In other words, A perfect night. You flop onto a fire escape landing and lick your paw, not out of instinct, out of necessity. There's something orange and sticky clinging to your whiskers that may have once been a fruit. Echo stretches beside you, her tail curling like a question mark. "You did okay," she says. "Thanks," you want to say. But what comes out is a purr so loud it vibrates your whole chest. She smirks. Cats don't do compliments. They do toleration, occasional eye contact, and sharing food without murder. You've passed the test. Historians still argue whether cats form real friendships or just strategic alliances. But when Echo rests her chin on your flank and closes her eyes, it feels like more than strategy. You look up. The moon has shifted. The air smells of basil, burnt oil, and distant rain. Somewhere, a busker plays saxophone under a flickering streetlight. The city sighs. And you're part of it now. Not a pet, not a visitor, but a cat among cats. And this is only the beginning. The next morning arrives with that rude, wet slap of reality only a cat can appreciate. Dew on your fur, sore paws from midnight misadventures, and the unmistakable sound of barking. Loud barking. Close barking. You snap awake on a rusted air conditioner unit, tail puffed like a bottle brush. Echo is already gone, of course. And below, in the park across the alley, chaos unfolds like an amateur fireworks show. Dogs, dozens of them. Leashed, unleashed, and everything in between. A dachshund dragging its owner through a flower bed. A golden retriever chasing a frisbee like its life depends on it. A drooling mastiff galloping directly toward the fence like he knows you're watching. Welcome to the gauntlet. It starts as a challenge, a test, a rite of passage. You haven't really lived, Echo told you last night, until you've sprinted through Dog Central and made it out with your tail still attached. Now, you understand what she meant. You pace the rooftop edge above the park, mapping escape routes. Bush to trash can to picnic table to tree. A sprint, a scramble, maybe a miracle or two. You leap. The first thing you feel is grass, damp and soft under your paws. The second, eyes. Every dog in a 10-meter radius pivots toward you like a synchronized school of fur. The chase begins. A border collie lunges. You zig. A bulldog snorts. You zag. A Labrador bounds after you with all the enthusiasm of a toddler on espresso. You fly up a bench, over a cooler, under a stroller, and nearly crash into a jogger's ankles. Your body moves without asking you. It knows. Somewhere a child screams, "Kitty!" as if you're a parade float. But you don't stop. Your claws dig into bark as you climb a tree, tail streaming behind like a victory ribbon. The dogs bark below, leaping and slobbering and completely failing to climb. You perch on a high branch, panting, heart thudding like a war drum. Victory. Also, terror. Also, exhilaration. Fun cat trivia. Napoleon Bonaparte was terrified of cats. Historians still argue whether it was due to superstition, a childhood trauma, or just one really aggressive tabby. Either way, if he'd witnessed what just happened, he'd have surrendered before breakfast. Back in the present, you lounge on the branch while the pack below forgets about you. and moves on to harassing a rogue squirrel. You descend the other side of the tree and slink into the bushes. A raccoon, definitely not Gerald, eyes you with mild concern and waddles off. You're alone, for the first time in hours. The city sounds different here. Quieter. Fewer sirens, more birdsong. A fountain trickles nearby. A garden, a park bench. A place for humans to unwind, and for cats to plan secret recon missions. You flop into the shade and breathe. Paws tingling, ears twitching, tail finally calm. And then, without warning, a small white fluff ball crashes into you. A Pomeranian puppy. You hiss, not because you're mean, but because surprise fluff attacks at 7 a.m. violate several Geneva conventions. The puppy blinks, confused, then sneezes violently and scampers away, leash dragging behind like a tattered cape. You sit there in silence, and then you laugh. Or, well, the cat equivalent, a low, purring chuckle that bubbles up from somewhere deep and fuzzy. You return to the rooftops by noon, fur disheveled, dignity half intact. Echo waits for you, curled under a satellite dish. "You lived?" she says, flicking an ear. "Barely," you mumble. "Then you did it right." She closes her eyes, and after a beat, so do you. Above, a pigeon flutters across the sky. Below, the city rolls on, oblivious to your daring dash. But up here, you're a legend. By the time the sun dips below the skyline again, painting the buildings in long gold shadows, you're already halfway through your next trial. The underground. Echo had mentioned it in passing. Some cats ride the rails, you know, real city types. You thought it was a joke, maybe an urban legend. Turns out, it's very real. You're currently crouched behind a recycling bin on the edge of a subway entrance, tail tucked, heart drumming. The scent of metal and oil drifts up the stairs, mixing with the perfume of fried food and wet concrete. A group of teens blares music from a phone as they descend, laughing, unaware of the small set of feline eyes watching them. This is it, your next move. A descent into the mechanical belly of the beast. You pad down the steps, trying to look like you belong. It's worse than you expected. Lights flash, announcements blare from tinny speakers in multiple, indecipherable languages. A violinist plays somewhere nearby, her bow squeaking like an injured mouse. Turnstiles click and spin. The platform is filled with feet. So many feet, and every one of them a potential hazard. You hug the edge of the wall, tail low, and weave between discarded paper cups and booted ankles. No one notices you. Or if they do, they just assume you're part of the scenery. One of those gritty urban cats who treats the subway like a second home. You nearly dart back up the stairs when the train arrives, with a howl of brakes and a wall of wind that almost sends your ears flying off your head. But then you see him, a huge tabby, lounging on a bench like it's a throne, completely unfazed by the chaos. His fur is dusty gray, his eyes sharp, and his collar tag bent into the shape of a saxophone. "You're late," he rumbles. "Excuse me?" you manage in pure body language and blink speak. "You're the new one, the runner, the rooftop crawler. They said you'd come." "Okay, what?" He stretches lazily and flicks his tail toward the incoming train. "Let's ride." You leap onto the train a split second before the doors slide shut. You land neatly on the padded seat beside the gray tabby. Nobody blinks. Apparently, subway cats are a thing. His name, he tells you, is Scat. As in scat singing, not the other kind. He's a subway regular. Lives half his life underground, and the other half stealing chicken kebabs near the night markets. "This city," he says, "has layers. You just found one of the good ones." As the train rattles along, Scat gives you the grand tour, station by station, he narrates. "This one's got the best vents, perfect in summer. Next one has a blind jazz guitarist. She shares her tuna sometimes. And then the real surprise. There's a lost mural behind the downtown platform, covered up in the 70s. Only cats can see it now." You glance at him. "Wait, really?" He licks his paw and mutters, "Historians still argue whether it was painted by a reclusive surrealist or just some guy with a lot of time and a rat obsession. Either way, it's ours now." When the train pauses for too long, Scat slips off and leads you through a shadowy maintenance corridor. It smells like electricity, mold, and old pennies. Pipes hiss above your head. You pass a rat bigger than some dogs you've met, but it simply nods and continues on its way. Apparently, you've reached some kind of urban animal détente. Eventually, you reach a quieter platform, dimly lit and nearly abandoned. Scat hops onto a faded poster and flicks his tail toward a rusted panel. You leap after him, squeezing into a tiny crevice, and then you see it. The mural, faint under layers of dust and soot, but still there. Cats, dozens of them, leaping, lounging, curled around planets and staircases and books. A surreal cityscape ruled entirely by felines. It's wild and haunting and kind of beautiful. Scat nods solemnly. "We were always here. People just forgot." You sit there for a while, tail curled around your paws, staring at this secret shrine. Not just a piece of art, a memory, a reminder. You're part of something older than alleyways, older than collars and catnip toys. Something feral, something real. Eventually, you crawl back out. Scat doesn't follow. "This is where I stay," he says. "Go back to the sky. You've got things to see." You blink your thanks. He blinks back. It's basically a handshake. The train arrives. You leap aboard. By the time you surface again, paws grimy, fur smelling faintly of ozone and popcorn, you're back in the city night. Lights shimmer. The breeze tastes like coming rain. You're not just a rooftop cat anymore. You're a subway veteran. And the city? She's letting you in, one layer at a time. You're not exactly proud of what you're about to do, but hunger. Hunger makes a philosopher of anyone. Echo warned you. There's street food, and then there's market food. She said it with that knowing look, half warning, half challenge. So here you are now, crouched behind a vegetable crate in the night market, eyes locked on a table stacked with glistening, still steaming skewers of fish. The scent is divine, smoky, salty, just the right hint of char. Your pupils dilate without your permission. Somewhere in the distance, A human yells something in a language your cat brain only vaguely translates as, "Hey, stop licking that." You are not the only thief tonight. The market is alive with humans, shuffling, bargaining, sweating. Neon signs blink overhead like confused fireflies. The air is thick with the perfume of sizzling dumplings, star anise, oil smoke, and 10,000 forgotten grocery lists. It's perfect chaos, which, as it turns out, is perfect cover. You slink beneath a folding table and pause beside a cardboard box filled with, are those live crabs? Yes, they are. One of them waves at you, rudely. You hiss and move on. At the far end of the stall, a man wipes his brow and steps away from the skewers for just a second. 1 second is all you need. You leap. Your claws land cleanly on the edge of the fish tray. 1 paw, 1 skewer. You yank it free like Excalibur, teeth already sinking into flaky, buttery treasure. And then, a clatter. You've tipped a plate. Something breaks. The vendor yells. You bolt, down between baskets of ginger root and bok choy, under a tarp, through spilled noodles, past a grandmother shrieking about her spring rolls. You don't look back. A kid cheers. "Go, kitty, go!" You round a corner and launch yourself onto a cart of dried squid. The squid vendor shrieks and flails with a broom, which you narrowly avoid, sailing off the edge and landing in a laundry pile behind the tofu stand. You land like a feather, a very fish-scented, victorious feather. Skewer still clamped in your jaws. After several alley turns, you collapse beside a storm drain, panting, laughing internally, tail-flicking with adrenaline. You devour your stolen prize in blissful, needy silence. It might be the best meal of your life, and weirdly, the most you've felt since waking up with fur. Little historical snack. In 14th century Japan, fish markets were considered holy spaces, protected by local gods and guarded by cats. No joke. Some temples still keep statues of cats in fish-guarding poses. And those cats, just like you now, holy thieves, sacred criminals. Your ears twitch. Something's moving nearby. You look up and see her. She's stunning, a long-haired Persian, white as fresh linen and wearing a velvet collar with an embroidered gold moon. She lounges on a window ledge above, eyeing you like a slightly amused duchess who's just witnessed you juggling oranges and landing face first in the punch bowl. "Enjoy your little heist?" she purrs. You blink up at her, mouth full. Try to swallow with dignity. Fail. "I've seen worse," she adds, delicately licking her paw. You've never been so aware of your soot-smudged fur and tangle of burrs clinging to your tail. "You're not from around here," she continues, her voice lilting like silk over piano keys. "Nope," you reply, in the universal cat dialect of eye blinks and tail curls. She smiles. "Good, this market could use a little chaos." She disappears into the window with a flick of her tail. And just like that, you're left alone with the lingering scent of fish, victory, and something you weren't expecting. Curiosity. She didn't introduce herself. She didn't need to. You'll see her again. Because a cat like that, she's not a one-night cameo, she's a plot twist. You sigh, roll onto your back, and let your belly cool against the stone. Somewhere above, a paper lantern drifts in the breeze. Like the city is letting you know she's proud of you. You're no longer just surviving, you're living. The rooftops call to you now. Not in the literal sense, though let's be honest, you wouldn't put it past this city to grow a voice just to mess with you. But something about the tiles, the moonlit sprawl of the skyline, the quiet up there, it tugs at your whiskers like a whispered dare. So you climb. It begins with a dumpster lid, slick with condensation. One leap, then another onto a wobbly bamboo scaffold. You're learning quickly now how to trust your back legs, how to feel your claws grip into peeling paint and old plaster. Echo would be proud. Or maybe she'd laugh. You scale a rusted fire escape and reach a ceramic tiled rooftop, cracked and warm from the day's heat. The city unfolds beneath you. Neon rivers, pulsing signs, noodle shops still open at midnight, mopeds weaving like ants through sticky light traffic. It's beautiful, not just in the postcard way. Beautiful in the you could die here and not be mad kind of way. You settle down beside a TV antenna and watch the stars struggle through the haze. Somewhere, a radio plays an old Mandarin love song, warbling and half static. You hum along, badly. And then, she's there. The white Persian from the window ledge, now beside you like she's always belonged on your rooftop. "Stalker," you say without saying it. "I was bored," she purrs, and you climb like a squirrel with vertigo. You snort. That's rich, coming from someone who lounges for a living. She arches a perfect eyebrow. Lounging is an art. You lie there in companionable silence, tails flicking, watching a couple argue 3 floors down about whether the cat stole their steamed buns. Spoiler, you totally did. "So," she says finally, "what's your name?" You think for a moment. You honestly don't remember the name you had before. The human one. It doesn't seem important anymore. "Don't have one," you admit. She nods. "Good. Names are boring." You look over at her. "What about you?" She stretches luxuriously. "Luna. But you can call me whatever makes you purr." Oh boy, she's that cat. Did you know the oldest known domestic cat was found in a 9,500-year-old grave in Cyprus, buried next to a human with obvious ceremony? Historians still argue whether the cat was a pet, a spiritual guardian, or a really dignified mouse catcher. But we've been side-eyeing humans from rooftops for a long, long time. "You know," Luna muses, flicking her tail lazily, "most strays either go mad or get wise. You look like someone trying to do both." You chuckle, sort of. "Yeah, woke up like this." She doesn't question it, doesn't blink. "That happens sometimes," she says instead, almost kindly. You turn your head. "It does?" She shrugs. "City's strange. So is the moon. Maybe you made a wish." You think back to that moment on the street, the flickering streetlight, the puddle, the silence right before everything changed. You don't remember making a wish, but maybe wishes make you. A sudden commotion in the alley catches your ear. Barking, loud, mean, unrelenting. Your fur rises before you even register the sound fully. Luna's already on her paws. Dog squad. They've been hassling the south side for weeks. Dumb as a bag of socks, but fast. You move instinctively. Skitter across the tiles toward the edge. Luna halts you with a paw. No need. They can't reach us up here, but there's someone down there who can't climb. You glance over the ledge. A kitten. Small, gray, trembling in the narrow space between a trash bin and a wall. 3 mutts cornering it with growls that rumble in your spine. You're already moving. Luna groans. Oh, great. He's a hero. You leap. It's not graceful, but it's fast. You land hard between the dogs and the kitten, spine arched, tail like a bottle brush, fangs bared. Back off, you growl in your best deep-throated hiss. They pause, for a second, then lunge. Let's take a moment to remind ourselves, cats are not known for brute force. But you're full of something different. You've got weird human instincts, a touch of human madness, and opposable thumb memories. Also adrenaline. You twist, slash, duck. There's yowling, fur flying, one very confused poodle who clearly didn't sign up for this. Luna joins the fray with the grace of a ballerina and the rage of a kung fu master. Between the two of you, the dog squad limps away yapping curses. The kitten stares up at you with huge eyes. It sneezes. Great, Luna says. We've adopted a germ. You guide the little one back to your rooftop hideaway, tucking it into a warm pile of rags behind an old satellite dish. You sit beside Luna in the dark, chest still heaving. You didn't have to do that, she says quietly. I know. She bumps her head against yours. You're going to make this city very complicated. You smile. I already have. The kitten, as it turns out, has an absurd name. Turnip. You don't know if it was named by a child, a food vendor, or a severely concussed poet. But Turnip it is, and Turnip it stays. The little gray furball follows you everywhere now, scampering between your paws, tripping over her own tail, mewing like a broken wind chime. You've officially become a mentor, or worse, a parent. Luna finds this hilarious. So soon? She purrs one morning, watching Turnip attempt to stalk a cockroach and miss by 3 full tail lengths. I thought you were going for the aloof, brooding alley cat vibe. Clearly, you say, as Turnip crashes into your hind leg and face plants with dignity. It's working. But truth be told, you like the little thing. There's something strangely grounding about her chaos. A reminder that not all things in this city are cynical and clawed. Some are soft, naive, and believe you hung the stars just because you batted a moth once. You show her how to creep silently, how to flatten against walls, how to interpret the rhythm of the city. You teach her which fish stalls are generous, which balconies host angry broom wielders, and, perhaps most importantly, where to find warm air vents in winter. She listens, mostly, until she doesn't, which is how you discover the temple. It starts with a scent. Turnip goes bounding down an alley after a flicker of incense smoke. Yes, incense. And by the time you've caught up, she's squeezed through a crack in a mossy stone wall behind a dumpster. You follow. Inside is a courtyard. Quiet. Ancient. Out of place. Cracked red columns. Hanging bells. A koi pond so still you're not sure it's not glass. In the center, a shrine carved from dark wood, its surface worn smooth by time and whispers. Luna joins you. appearing out of nowhere like always, and blinks slowly at the scene. "This place is older than most humans remember," she says. "No one builds like this anymore." You pad forward, pause silent on the cold stone. Inside the shrine is a statue of a seated cat, majestic, sleek, eyes like polished moonstone. At its paws are offerings, dried fish, coins, a silk ribbon, and, inexplicably, a tiny Hello Kitty figurine missing one ear. Turnip pounces it immediately. You hiss, "Turnip, no!" But the damage is done. The little plastic cat rolls into the statue's lap. And then, something strange happens. The koi pond ripples, though the air is still. The hanging bells chime softly, without wind, and the incense relights itself, a thin spiral curling into the dusk. You all freeze. Luna's fur stands on end. "Well," she says, "this is either very good or very bad." You step back slowly. Nothing else happens. The shrine remains still. The moonstone eyes gleam. Turnip licks her paw like she didn't just cause a mild supernatural event. You decide not to come back for a few days. So, fun historical fact. In ancient Japan, temples sometimes honored Bakaneko, mythical cats said to possess supernatural powers, often spiritual guardians, or vengeful spirits depending on the weather and their mood. Historians still argue whether these legends were metaphorical warnings or based on real feline oddities. Either way, cats have been haunting sacred places for centuries, and usually on their own terms. The next few nights feel different, not in a loud, crashing drum kind of way. More like the city's pulse has shifted. You notice strange coincidences. A bakery you've never seen before suddenly opens just as you're craving sardines. A window you always use to sneak into a warm laundry room now stays unlocked, though the old woman who owns the place still swears she locked it. And everywhere you go, cats are watching you. Not obviously, not creeper style, but they're there, on ledges, under benches, licking their paws like you don't exist, then making unblinking eye contact at the last second. Luna notices it too. "You've stirred something," she mutters, sniffing at a row of dumpling wrappers that weren't there an hour ago. "I didn't ask for this," you grumble. "No one asks to be chosen," she replies. "It just happens, especially to idiots with hearts too big for their heads." "Rude," she grins. "Accurate." Turnip, oblivious to all metaphysical stress, tries to catch a moth and faceplants into a bamboo pole. The city continues humming, but now you feel like you're in tune with its melody. You find yourself returning to the temple more often, not because you understand it, but because it feels familiar, safe, as if you were meant to be there. The statue never moves. The offerings change, though. Sometimes there's steamed fish, other times a slipper someone clearly sacrificed to appease the cat god. And every now and then, a little paper charm appears with neat brushstrokes, a paw print in red ink, pressed at the bottom like a seal. You have no idea what they mean. Neither does Luna. "Could be a blessing," she says, "or a curse, or a to-do list." Turnip tries to eat one. You don't let her. One night, while perched on a lamppost watching the city drift into sleep, Luna speaks quietly. There's an old belief, she says, that certain cats are reborn over and over, guardians of balance, watchers, sometimes tricksters. You blink. You think I'm one of those? She shrugs. You're weird enough. Thanks. She nudges you with her nose. You're welcome. Down below, a stray dog walks past a vending machine and is gifted a falling pork bun from the sky. You don't see anything drop it, but you swear you hear a faint bell. By now, the city knows you. The scent trails, the creaky fences, the fishmonger who leaves you tidbits without meeting your eyes. All of it adds up to something like territory, though you'd never call it that. Not out loud. That would sound too much like the arrogant tabby down in the West Docks who makes his entire identity about being a warlord of 6 dumpsters. No, your influence is quieter. You cross rooftops without being challenged. You steal with style. You move with grace. Even the pigeons, haughty and loud as they are, stop cooing when you pass. Turnip, of course, still thinks you're part magician, part demigod. She trots beside you, tail high, mimicking your every move. Poorly, and always with a running commentary of chirps and mews. She tries so hard, it makes you want to wrap your tail around her like a blanket and purr forever. Luna says nothing, but she watches. She always watches. Tonight is strange. There's no wind, no clouds. The air is thick with that pre-storm tension that makes your whiskers twitch. The humans feel it too, rushing to close umbrellas, shoving chairs indoors, checking their phones like they'll find comfort in numbers. But you feel something else, a pressure, like the city's holding its breath. Luna meets you atop an old red brick building overlooking the train yard. Her fur is fluffed, eyes narrower than usual. You feel it? She asks. You nod. It's not just weather. No, it's him. He's back. Your ears tilt. The alley tyrant? She doesn't answer directly. Instead, she jumps down into the yard. The last time you met him, it was all teeth and scars and bad breath. A muscular brute with one milky eye and a growl like gravel in a tin can. He ruled a quadrant of alleys by sheer force and fury, demanding food tributes from weaker strays, taking what he wanted when he wanted. You beat him once, not with strength, but cunning. You tricked him into charging head first into a collapsing scaffolding. He limped away, humiliated, fur covered in plaster dust. And now he's back. Turnip hides behind you as you enter the old courtyard. You spot him instantly. He's pacing beneath the broken neon sign, muscles rippling under his filthy fur, claws clicking against the tile. Well, well, he rasps. Look who thinks he's king now. You step forward slowly. No kings, you say. Just balance. He snarls. Balance is for cowards. Before you can blink, he lunges. Fights between cats aren't elegant. They're fast, brutal, and full of sound. Screeches, hisses, the dull thud of bodies slamming into walls. You dodge the first strike. He grazes your shoulder on the second. Luna jumps in briefly, claws flashing before being thrown off with a violent twist. Turnip lets out a high-pitched yowl that makes everyone freeze. For half a breath. Then the tyrant turns on her. Something ancient surges through you. You don't think, you move. A leap, a twist. You land squarely on his back, claws deep into his shoulders. He screams, more in rage than pain, and rolls, trying to shake you off. But you cling, like shadow and storm, driving him into the ground with every ounce of force your lithe body can muster. At last, he breaks away, panting, limping. He looks at you with that milky eye, not quite fear, but recognition. "You're not just some alley rat," he spits. "No," you say. "I'm the one who watches. And you're done." He backs away, slowly, then vanishes into the shadows without another word. The storm finally breaks above you. Rain crashes down, washing the blood from the pavement. You're left standing there, soaked, sore, and victorious. Back at the shrine, Luna helps you clean the wounds. "You're an idiot," she mutters, tugging a thorn from your flank. "Thanks. You could have died. But I didn't." She presses her forehead to yours. "Don't make a habit of it." Turnip curls beside you, eyes wide. She looks at you differently now, not just as her hero, but as something more. A protector, a guardian, maybe even a legend. The storm rumbles away into the night, and the city sleeps again. There's a Japanese belief called nekomata. Cats so old and wise they split their tails and gain magical powers. They're often seen as ghostly guardians or omens. Some say they control the dead. Others say they simply know the truth of all things and choose silence. You're not sure what you believe. But when you walk the rooftops now, you swear you hear whispers in the wind. Not threats, prayers. The next morning breaks slow and golden. You wake up curled in the shrine's rafters, Turnip tucked tightly against your belly, snoring like a tiny radiator. Luna is gone, but you smell her, not far, likely on her usual sunrise patrol, making sure no one's sneaking into the market stalls too early and stirring trouble before breakfast. Your body aches. There's a tender spot under your ribs that flares when you stretch, a reminder of last night's brawl. But pain, like pride, dulls with the light. You hop down, shake the dust from your fur, and step into the new day. It smells like steam buns and morning fog. The city feels different now. It's hard to explain. No one crowned you, no trumpet sounded, but there's a subtle shift in how others look at you. The Ginger twins from the canal pause their scavenging to nod. A one-eyed Siamese you've never spoken to offers you half a fish head with surprising reverence. And at the shrine, where the old man always leaves out 2 bowls, one for the temple spirit and one for you, he gives an extra scoop of tuna. "You've been busy," he says, though he's looking past you, like always. Good cat. You blink at him. Could be coincidence, or could be that ancient superstition, still alive in back alleys and grandmother's gossip, that cats ward off evil, that they protect more than just their own. Historians debate whether these beliefs were born from actual temple cats, some centuries old, others taxidermied into legend, or from collective memory. A subconscious need to assign guardianship to something that slinks but does not kneel. Whatever the reason, it sticks. You've gone from stray to symbol. Luna rejoins you near noon. "You're glowing," she says, squinting in the sunlight. "That's just fish oil. You're insufferable." Yet you're still here. She smirks. You know what happens next, don't you? You raise an eyebrow. I get a parade? No. She laughs. You get challengers. And she's right. Because being the cat who beat the alley tyrant means something. It means others will come. Some hoping to learn from you, others hoping to knock you down a few pegs. And it starts with a white blur that barrels into you near the old train yard. A kitten, barely older than Turnip. Wild eyes, fluff like static, and speed fueled by far too many pigeon feathers. Teach me, he yells, circling you like a caffeinated tornado. You dodge him twice before pinning him with a gentle paw. What makes you think I'm a teacher? Because you're the cat. You beat 3 ears, and you stole the eel bun from the festival stand. And you walked across the temple wall without falling. Turnip pops her head out from under a crate. He's exaggerating. I am not, the kitten huffs. Please? I want to learn. I want to be a rooftop runner. Luna lounges nearby, amused. Might as well take him. You already have 1 apprentice. Hey, Turnip says. I'm a sidekick, thank you very much. You try to send the kitten away. Really, you do. But he keeps returning. With fish bones. With dead leaves. Once, disturbingly, with an entire fried dumpling somehow impaled on his tail. And he's got heart. Slips off gutters but climbs right back up. Gets hissed at by older cats but bows politely and repeats their names like mantras. He listens, even when his little body buzzes with kinetic nonsense. So, you let him stay. You name him Button, because that's how he looks. Small, round, and always coming undone. Now, your little group is 3. You start training them. Not with rules, not really your style. More like structured chaos. You teach Turnip how to balance on moving bikes, starting with ones parked outside cafes, of course. You show Button how to fall safely, how to smell a lie in a trail of paw prints, how to navigate the world with ears and whiskers before sight. One evening, you walk them along the top of a moving streetcar. They scream the whole time. Joyful, terrified screams, but still. I'm flying, Button yells. We're going to die, Turnip yells louder. No one dies on my watch, you say. Then you all duck to avoid a low-hanging neon sign. Well, almost no one dies. You've become more than just a cat. You're a story now. The humans whisper about the trio that crosses telephone wires like ghosts. Some leave out food, others leave notes in little envelopes tied to bits of twine. You paw one open to find a child's drawing. 3 cats with tiny capes and crowns. Luna sees it and raises an eyebrow. Don't let it go to your head. It's already there, you admit. Still, there's something strange about being looked up to. You didn't ask for this. Didn't chase glory. You just kept surviving. And now, maybe, you're helping others do the same. Even Button, who somehow manages to fall into the same puddle 4 times in one day. It's a start. There's a legend from the Tang dynasty that temple cats were taught to mimic monks' movements in prayer. They'd to sit by the statues, perfectly still, eyes half closed as if meditating. The theory goes that they absorbed the wisdom of incense and chants, becoming holy by osmosis. Historians doubt this, of course. Some say it's pure fantasy. But when you find yourself sitting in the fading sun, surrounded by your misfit crew, watching the city wind down below, well, you feel something, stillness, belonging, a little sacred. Night returns softly, on velvet paws. Clouds drift like smoke across the moon. And somewhere in the distance, someone strikes a bell 3 times. Metallic, slow, final. You sit on the rooftop of the opera house, a place now familiar beneath your paws, looking over a city that has, somehow, become yours. Button is asleep, curled in a tight cinnamon roll near the chimney. Turnip is grooming her paw like she's preparing for battle. Luna isn't here tonight. She's off negotiating peace between 2 rival street clans, or so she claimed. Honestly, you think she just wanted a night alone with a certain scarred Russian blue who lives above the spice market. But you're waiting, because tonight is the night. The Maine Coon returns. You feel him before you see him. His paws don't touch the gravel, at least not loudly. His shadow stretches across the rooftop like spilled ink. His mane, wild and glinting with age, shifts slightly in the wind. He doesn't speak at first, just sits beside you and looks out at the skyline. Then finally, you did well. You snort softly. No thanks to you? Oh, I gave you everything you needed. A name, a push, and a secret you're still too afraid to use. You tilt your head. What secret? He gives you that knowing look, the one older cats specialize in. You're still thinking like a human trapped in a cat's body, still trying to survive the world instead of mastering it. You bristle. I've done more than survive. Yes, he admits, but you haven't remembered yet. That word again. Remembered. It hits you deeper than you expect. You've had flashes, strange dreams, smells that make your heart lurch, places that feel too familiar. You've written them off. A trick of the new senses. Phantom emotions from a life you're not supposed to carry into this one. But now... You're saying I was someone? You are someone, he says. Then, before you can ask anything more, he produces something from beneath his massive coat of fur. A small scroll, old, frayed, bound in silk. You paw at it cautiously, then unfurl it. It's covered in claw marks, not scratches, not random tears. Writing, a story written in the secret script of cats. Something passed down in whispers and meows. You trace the marks with your eyes, reading slowly as the wind picks up. It tells of a temple thief. A human, once. Someone who broke into shrines not to steal gold, but names. Stealing sacred names from statues and scrolls, hoping to control fate, hoping to live forever. But the gods saw and punished him. Not with death, but with rebirth. A second life. A cat's life. You read the last line aloud. To walk with 9 shadows is to remember every sun. The Maine Coon watches you carefully. Do you know what it means? You shake your head. It means you haven't just lived once, or twice, but many times. Each time forgetting. Each time returning. He leans closer, and this time, you're close to remembering all of it. That night, you dream differently, not flashes, not colors, but full memory. A courtyard filled with red lanterns. a scroll tucked in your sleeve. A girl calling out to you before the guards sees her. You running, always running. Then darkness, then fur, then silence. You wake with a gasp, and you know. You weren't just dropped into this body by chance. You were given it. By someone. Something that decided your punishment wasn't over. And now, you've nearly completed the cycle. You have one final thing to do. But what? The next day, you wander through the temple district, looking for anything. You pause outside the little shrine by the koi pond, the one with the cracked tile and the faint incense smell that always makes you feel strange. You step inside. It's quiet. No humans, just you, the koi, and the idol. It's a statue of a cat, one paw raised, one eye closed. You've seen it 100 times. But now, it looks back at you, and something inside you cracks. The memory floods in. This is where it started, where you took your first name, where you read a god's true title aloud and tried to bend it, where the punishment was cast. You stumble backward, breathless, then fall. And when you fall deep. You land on red silk. Not real, but memory. You're in the old world again. A monk chants nearby. A brazier burns. You see your own hands, human, reach for the scroll. Then you look up and see the idol's eyes open. It saw you, and now it sees you again. The same soul, the same mistake. But you're different now. You bow, not out of fear, out of understanding. I remember, you whisper. I'm sorry. The shrine pulses, soft light, no pain. And for the first time in many lives, you feel peace. You wake up outside the shrine. Turnip is licking your face. You were out cold, she says. Like a rock. Like a really hairy, dramatic rock. Button bounces beside her. We thought you died. I didn't, you say. Voice quiet. What happened? Turnip asks. You sit up slowly. The city sounds clearer, sharper. Every shadow, every breeze feels like a thread you can now follow. I think, you say, I finally remembered who I am. Turnip blinks. Cool. Button tilts his head. Are we still getting snacks? You laugh. Yes, Button, let's get snacks. But first, you look up at the temple roof, where a stone cat still watches, and this time, you wink. The days pass differently now. Not faster, not slower, just deeper. Everything you see, every paw step you take, echoes with a faint hum of something ancient. Every crack in the pavement seems familiar. Every meow carries double meaning. The world has not changed, but you have. You've remembered. And that changes everything. You've started walking more than prowling, climbing not for escape, but to observe, to understand. You begin seeing the city not just as a maze of smells and dangers, but as a story. A long, tangled story written in scents, shadows, and silent agreements between creatures that barely speak the same language. You are no longer lost. You are a scholar of the street. And the streets have secrets, big ones. You discover it on a Tuesday. Not a dramatic Tuesday, not stormy or blood red in the sky, just a regular one. Slight drizzle, a cold fishtail for breakfast. Luna humming an off-key opera song as she lounges near the bakery's warmth. That's when you hear them. A whisper, not a sound. It brushes your ear fur like a breath. They're watching. You freeze, turn slowly, but no one is there, except a gray pigeon, watching you. Not watching like pigeons normally do. This one isn't bobbing, isn't nervously fluttering, just staring. You squint, it blinks, then flies off, straight into a crack in the old cathedral wall. Gone. That's not pigeon behavior. That's spy behavior. You don't say anything at first, but the signs grow. A squirrel drops an acorn at your feet and hisses, "Keep your tail clean," then runs off. A rat delivers a cryptic riddle wrapped in a candy wrapper, saying it came from upstairs. Even Button gets a note, tucked in a sardine tin. It just says, "Ask no questions, eat quickly." You gather the others. Turnip rolls her eyes. You're being dramatic again. Luna, though, frowns. This sounds like the beginnings of something old. "What do you mean?" you ask. She curls her tail and sighs. You know how humans think they run everything? Yeah? They don't. Oh? There are layers beneath layers. Always have been. Rats run the sewers. Owls rule the old libraries. And pigeons are idiots, says Turnip. No, Luna says, serious now. Pigeons are the messengers. They see everything, fly over every wall, drop whispers into nests and rafters. If they're acting strange, it means a storm's coming. You feel your fur bristle. And the storm? You ask. She looks at you. You might be the reason it's coming. That night, you get the invitation. It's slipped beneath your tail as you nap in a crate behind the fish market. Smells like lavender. Feels like leather. It's a scroll, old style, written in claw script only the elder cats use. It reads, "Come to the Grand Assembly. Midnight, library roof. Bring no followers. Come as you were." You tap the scroll. Come as you were. You know what that means. No friends, no tricks, no recent self. Just you. The cat, the memory, the soul that's walked 9 lives and returned. The library is abandoned at night, or so the humans think. You climb silently, past iron gutters, ivy-draped balconies, wind-rattled shutters. You scale the final arch, tail flicking. The moon greets you coldly, sharp and watchful. And then you see them. 12 cats, all ages, all breeds. Some sleek, some scarred. One blind, one wearing a string of bells that do not ring. They part for you. You walk through them. To the center, a rusted weather vane, shaped like a raven, and beside it, a mat of woven feathers and bones. You sit. The oldest cat, a wrinkled sphinx with milky eyes, speaks first. You've returned. I have. You've remembered. I have. She nods. Then you must know why you were summoned. I don't, you admit. The blind cat smiles. You were not punished. Not really. Then what was I? Prepared. You blink. For what? They all speak in unison, their voices like wind in old rafters. For what's coming next? They tell you of the great silence, a moment foretold for generations, when the animal lines would blur, when human technology would cut even the unseen threads, when communication among the ancient clans would fall silent, when the balance would teeter and fall. But why me, you whisper? Because you're between worlds, the Sphinx says. You lived as them. Now you walk as us. You understand power, says a tabby with a scar across his muzzle. You understand loss, says a tiny, one-eared kitten. And most of all, says the blind cat, you understand choice. They lean in. The pigeons have seen it. The rats have smelt it. The clouds are moving wrong. The whispers say it is nearly here. What is? You ask. No answer. Only the soft sound of wind. And one final word. Prepare. You descend the library rooftop in silence, your paws soft on the mossy shingles. Below, the city stretches out like a beast in slumber, humming streetlights, puddles glowing gold under flickering bulbs, the ever-present hiss of something moving just out of sight. The assembly's words loop in your mind like an old lullaby gone sour. Prepare. Prepare for what? That's the trouble with ancient prophecies. They give you all the dread and none of the details. You find Luna waiting for you in your alley, eyes glinting like twin moons. She doesn't ask what happened. She just pats a piece of cardboard beside her. You sit, tails brushing, your silence enough to fill the night. It's beginning, she finally says. What is? She gestures toward the sky. Above, the clouds ripple, not drift, ripple, almost like they're listening. You start seeing the cracks within days. The humans walk differently. Not afraid, but unsettled. Like they sense something wrong with the air. Their phones glitch more. Their shadows flicker in the wrong direction. And worse, the animals are disappearing. Sparrows? Gone. Overnight. A whole network of alley cats? Vanished. Even the seagulls who shrieked nonsense at the docks? Silent. No feathers. No fur. Just absence. Button stops chirping jokes. Turnip begins pacing. Luna stops grooming entirely, which is when you know things are serious. Grooming is her religion. And you? You begin hearing voices again. Not the loud ones, the subtle ones, like whispers in the bricks. Secrets murmured through storm drains. Fragments of the lives you've lived before. Cats with names lost to time, scratching at the edges of memory. It's not madness. You're certain of that now. It's memory, unstuck. One night you dream of sand and spears, desert winds curling around your whiskers as you sit beside a queen who calls you her only friend. Another, you dream of a Japanese shrine, your bell collar echoing like prayer. Each memory is another breadcrumb on the trail toward the truth. You weren't sent back to be punished. You were sent back to remember and to choose. Then, one night, a crack opens in the sky. No thunder, no lightning, just a low groan, like a door in the clouds slowly swinging open. The humans don't seem to see it, but the animals do. Every squirrel, bird, raccoon, fox, you name it, looks up and stares, not afraid, just waiting. The world holds its breath, and then it exhales. A sound sweeps through the city, low, pulsing, rhythmic, like a heartbeat made of static and wind. You feel it in your bones. It doesn't hurt, but it changes something. It unlocks something. You feel your body tremble, not with fear, with awakening. The next day, Luna comes to you. "It's time," she says. "For what?" She doesn't answer, just starts walking. You follow her across the city to a forgotten garden inside the oldest cemetery. Vines coil around rusted gates. Statues of stone cats line the path. The grass hums softly beneath your paws, and in the center, a pond, still as glass. Luna steps back. It has to be you. What is this? A mirror, of sorts. You approach the pond, and in it, you see yourself, not just your reflection. All of you, every version. The pampered temple cat, the starving alley kitten, the ship's mouser with one ear torn, the witch's familiar, the war general's mascot, the quiet garden watcher in an old woman's lap. You see them all, and they see you. The water shimmers, and then it speaks, your voice, but older. You've walked 1,000 paws, chosen 1,000 endings. But now, you must choose again, one final path. You close your eyes and let the memories flood in. You remember the day you chose the human life, the day you stepped through the veil, shedding your fur and taking on their strange, upright form. You remember why. Love. You had fallen in love with someone. A human who saw you, truly saw you, when you were just a scraggly kitten mewling in the rain. She fed you, nursed you, named you. And when the time came, you chose to follow her into the world of 2 legs and doorbells and grief. But the veil had rules, one life only, no return. Unless you remembered. And so here you are. The pond dims, the visions fade. You open your eyes, and you know. You weren't sent back to survive. You were sent back to decide. To walk between 2 worlds and choose which you'd rather guard. The animal kingdom, the old networks, the clans, the whispers, or the humans, their chaos, their dreams, their fragile hearts. It's not a punishment, it's a privilege. But you only get one more shot. You walk away from the pond, the choice coiled quietly in your chest like a sleeping serpent. You don't have to decide tonight, but the world is waiting. The sky is still cracked, and the silence grows louder every hour. The morning comes slower than usual, dragging light over the rooftops like a lazy hand. You sit on your favorite perch, the rusted fire escape 4 stories above the bakery, and watch the city wake up. The clouds still hang low, stretched thin and pearly, like the sky's been skinned. You haven't spoken to Luna since the garden, not because you're avoiding her, but because you know. She already made her choice. She'll stay in the old ways, among alley clans and moonlit messages, among cats who remember when magic was something breathed, not just imagined. You're still deciding, It would be easier if the signs weren't so contradictory. This morning, you watched a child trip on the sidewalk. A woman, a stranger, caught him before his knees hit pavement. They laughed. She ruffled his hair. No one filmed it. No one posted it. It just was. A tiny kindness. But then, on the next block, you saw someone scream at a man just for existing too loudly. Hatred thickened their voice. Pure acid. The world, it seems, is still split between grace and grudge. And that's the hard part of this whole cosmic return thing. Realizing that people can be awful and beautiful, sometimes in the same breath. You spend that day quietly. A nap in the sunbeam that leaks through the butcher's window. A slow saunter past your favorite graffiti wall, the one where someone painted an astronaut holding hands with a lion. The artist signed it No One. Fitting, you watch an old man feed pigeons with shaking hands. You listen to a street musician absolutely ruin a Bob Dylan song on a broken harmonica. You lick your paw, stretch, watch the clouds twitch. And finally, at twilight, you go back to the garden pond. It's empty. Luna's gone. The statues watch in silence. The water is still. You approach, feeling that electric tingle again, like memory and meaning are pressing against your whiskers. You stare at your reflection. One final time. And then you speak. I choose. But your voice is quiet, not meant to be heard aloud. The pond ripples once, then calms. The sky mends, just a little. A thin golden thread stitches across the crack, barely visible. But there, you feel a hum rise through your paws. The earth shifting, approving. You don't feel changed. But maybe that's the point. Maybe choosing doesn't mean becoming something new. Maybe it means finally becoming who you've always been. That night, the wind sings a little differently. Softer. Warmer. The moon looks directly at you and winks. You return to the alley. Button is back, dozing in a pizza box like he never left. Turnip offers you a dead leaf. Thought you'd like it. You even spot a hawk flying low overhead, the one who once called you a fur-wrapped snack. He dips his wing in acknowledgement. Something has shifted. You've shifted. And as you curl into your corner of the cardboard, the city heartbeat slows just enough for you to sync with it. For the first time in this life, you're not just watching, you belong. You're not waiting anymore. You're walking forward. Not human, not animal, just you. The city settles deeper into its slumber. Streetlights blink slower. Windows darken one by one, like stars being gently pinched out. Somewhere, a siren sighs in the distance, fading like a memory. You're still in your alley, curled comfortably against the worn curve of a cardboard box that knows your shape by heart. The hum of the street lamp above you is soft now, a lullaby in static. Your tail twitches once, then goes still. Above, clouds drift without urgency. You imagine them as ancient whales, gliding through a sky ocean of dreams, slow and vast and full of secrets. The pond in the garden is quiet, the statues unmoved. But if you listen closely, the grass there still hums with your choice. Not loudly, just enough. The world hasn't changed in one night. but something inside you has. A tiny shift, a breath taken fully, a remembering. You are more than fur and instinct, more than memory. You are the echo of every version you've ever been, and every version still waiting for its turn. So let go now. Let the tension melt from your paws, your spine, the tips of your ears. Let the city breathe for you. You've earned your rest. And who knows? When you wake, maybe you'll dream of the desert again, or the ship, or the shrine, or maybe just the bakery's warm window and the smell of bread. Wherever you wander next, you'll carry it. The memory, the choice, the story. All 9 lives stitched quietly into one. Sleep no, little traveler. The night is long, but it's gentle, and it's yours.